Welcome to Flexible Games, where we are kicking off a new series in Vintage Story. Now, I have done several streams from this game, a lot of modding tutorial type streams, and it's been requested by a couple people that I cover this in a more, thorough episodic type way to just allow players, maybe new players to the game, a little bit of help on learning the ropes and learning how to progress through and into the game. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty good idea because I love this game. This game is phenomenal, and I want to see this game become very, very popular. And it would just warm my heart if more people started playing this game, because it is immensely moddable. The entire base game is built on the modding API for the game, so everything in the game is moddable. And yeah, it's just out of the box one of the best code bases I've ever seen in a game for moddability. Like, it is phenomenal, and I am already working on another mod for the game. So let's look at the mods that we have, and I'll go over why I have this set of mods and maybe not other mods or whatnot. But the modding community is growing, and there's tons and tons of mods for this game. You can make this game as easy as you want or as difficult as you want. It's all up to you. Okay, so additional molds, that is molds for pouring metals and stuff, and you'll see what that's all about. The angel belt, that is mine, as you can see, Flexible Games. The angel belt, as you probably might be able to guess, is my version for this game of the angel ring. It's a mid to late game tool that allows you to fly, and mainly have this mod for big building projects. Yes, it helps in exploration, but by the time you're able to craft it, exploration, you've done quite a lot of that already, and the angel belt just it allows you in the mid to late game to avoid some of the pitfalls of building and exploration that you may have run into before. Anvil metal recovery is a great little mod that makes the anvil, you can get little metal bits back, so you're not really wasting any metals, and it's a great mod. Armor repair allows you to repair your base armor. The backpack pack plus, I have customized this mod for the super high-end expensive backpacks to store more, and that's all I did for this, is the very, very top end sort of backpack. You can just hold so much material, and that's about the only change I made to that. But that's a good mod. The better crates, this is an essential mod for inventory management. It's like the storage drawers in Minecraft. Better crates is a phenomenal mod. The person who did that is very, very good, and they did a great job on this mod. It's just phenomenal. Bricklayers adds a huge amount of building variety in bricks and glass and colored clays. It's just the cathedral that I built used a lot of the colored clays from bricklayers instead of glass, just to punch the colors up a little bit. My random changes mod has a bunch of random changes. It adds some craftable chain link that you can use in decoration, and just a variety of things. And I'll go over a lot of how my mods differ from vanilla as I play. Chisel tools is just extra tools to chisel, and we'll get into that later on. Creatures and critters adds a huge amount of little creatures and critters to the world. Just it enriches the world with life, and it's a good idea. It's a great mod. Extra chests adds metal based chests for extra storage. So I've got 2 storage options. I've got the better crates and extra chests. You know, both of those are great little additions. Fast pit kilns just speeds up the firing of clay. The flexible tools is my collection of custom tools, and I built several custom tools for the game, and we'll get into those as we play, and I will explain what they do and why I made them. The honey press is a mod that allows you to use honeycomb in the fruit press rather than do it by hand, and I'll show you both once we get some honey. More dry grass, that just gives you more grass when you cut it with a scythe specifically. More molds, another molds thing. And the other thing I want to mention, the random changes mod adds more molds as well. So molds are important. Okay, so more molds adds just more molds. It requires you to work on the anvil a lot less. More tree seeds increases the seed drop rate by 10%. It is what it is. The Night Watcher, that is one of mine, and it prevents drifter spawns in a configurable radius. So it's sort of the replacement for the Mega Torch in Minecraft. I wanted something to prevent drifter spawns, and it helps in the mid game. Your base, keep it kind of quieter just to prevent those things from happening. No offhand hunger. For some reason, when you hold something in your offhand, it drastically increases your hunger rate. And I still can't figure out why, and so I have a mod that disables that. Ores aplenty. This is an important one. To those people who like to play these kinds of games but don't want a lot of grind or just a lot of dead time, and they just want to, work on crafting and building and doing that, Ores Aplenty is the very first mod that I made, because finding ores in the game in the vanilla game, can be extremely difficult and very tedious. And so the Ores Aplenty mod works at relieving that. And it has, a few other changes, which we will go over as we play. But Ores Aplenty, the baseline it does is it pretty radically increases the ores that generate in the world, and it makes them easier to find. You still have to go look, but it makes them easier to find. QP Tech, this is the very first major tech mod for the game, and so I definitely want to get into that and show you what the modded community is doing. And Quentin here has a great example of the very beginnings of a tech mod and all the stuff that's going to be possible with that. Quartz blocks just allows you to craft quartz deco blocks. They're called ancient blocks, but they're all quartz based. I wanted a way to make those for building. My cathedral is mostly made of those, so I wanted a way to do that. Quicker barrel, it just speeds up barrel times. Crafting stuff with a barrel can take a long time, and quicker barrel just speeds that up, and it just helps. Grindless, this is another mod that I have edited and modified over time, but it just relieves some grind out of the game. And yeah, to people who don't like grind, it's an option. If you want a harder experience, don't have that one. Rock blocks allows you to craft rocks, the block of rock from its stone. And we'll get into that, but I just wanted a way to reconvert back rock blocks. The simple elevator is, an elevator block. It is what it is, but yeah, it's an elevator block. We may or may not even use it, depending on how big our house is, but it's makes it a little easier to traverse in a base. The Stone Quarry mod is an alternate way of getting rock blocks. So Stone Quarry, if you want a more in-depth, immersive way of getting rock blocks, you can use the Stone Quarry mod. And that mod is a little bit more involved. Fruit Tree Survival, that is a little mod that I made that attempts to make fruit trees actually usable in the game. I'm debating whether or not it actually works or what it does, but yeah, that's a tough one. True trees are tough. And then creative mode, essentials, survival mode, these are the base mods, right? Survival mode, like I said, the game itself is a mod to the game. So those are the base, the Tyrone there. That's the actual game, right? That's the game. And the zoom button is just a great little tool for exploration and just helping see everything. You hit Z to zoom and it's great. So those are the mods. I wanted to go over that because a lot of people ask all the time, which mods are you using? And I want to be able to point them to this episode and say, hey, I go over all the mods, and we may end up adding or removing mods as time goes by. Like I said, I am working on a new mod right now. I'm working on porting the functionality of Direwolf's building gadget mod for Minecraft over to Vintage Story. And by porting, I don't mean converting his code. I'm writing all new code. But the essence of that mod I'm porting over. I got permission from Direwolf to do so. So we may end up adding that mod once I actually get it up and running and working. So that is the list of mods. Now let's go into creating our own single player. We're going to create a new world. And we are going to do a standard world because why not? Balance exploration, building, and survival. It's just, it is what it is. So we're going to change the world name to YouTube series season 1. It depends on how popular the series is. We may have a season 2 down the road when there's a lot more changes. It's being actively developed. Updates are coming out for it pretty regularly. So yeah, season 1, YouTube series season 1. So we're going to customize this world, and now we're going to go over all of the different settings that you can change, right? So we're going to have the standard play style, obviously. You can set the world height. Now be careful with this value. Right now, it will dramatically affect how big your saves are, because the columns of chunks, it takes up a lot of space. So, and also messing with this will distribute your ores a lot more. So the higher you make the world, the deeper you have to go for the hard to find ores, because ores generate based on height, and most of them generate based on sea level height. So they kind of go under, and maybe to start you want a standard 256, but you can go all the way up, all the way up to here, and chunks will load super slow, obviously, because it has to generate huge amount of blocks in order to actually give you the world. So maybe keep it under 320 or 384. But I know people that have a 1024 block height. That is a huge amount. So just beware, just be careful. World seed, we're gonna do flexible on the world seed in case you guys want to play along. Okay, so now let's get into all of the nitty-gritty details here, and I will go over, this first episode is really going to be covering what to expect and how to set up your world, because this is probably a huge barrier of entry to a lot of people, and so I want to cover all of this. All right, so coming in here, player spawn and death. We're going to start in a temperate climate. You can start warm, temperate, cool, icy. You can start whatever climate you want. Random respawn radius, that is the radius around basically map spawn, a random spot around map spawn that you start. So if you want to start in the exact same spot every time, you can go 0 blocks. or 25 blocks, or whatever you want. Okay, grace timer. How long after you start before monsters begin to appear? And let's go 2 days. We're going to go 2 days. So we have 2 days before we start running into, enemies. And they're not too bad, but... So death punishment, you can drop your contents. I'm going to keep my contents. Just because usually when I do a recording series, if I die, I do not want to waste hours and hours trying to find my body. Okay, so seasons. I highly recommend you keep these enabled. Always. It's beautiful. This game is phenomenal when it comes to weather. So keep your seasons enabled. We have infinite lives. You only have one life. You can set permadeath if you want. Days per month, you can set this pretty high. So you can say a month is going to be a whole 24 hours. And I know somebody who actually edited this even further, and took a day. There's got to be a day in here somewhere. But a day was like 48 real hours. It was just crazy. So I want to set days per month. I have been playing pretty strictly on 9 days, but we're going to drop that to 6 days, right? I want time to go by just a little bit faster to show everybody how the weather works and how everything works. So true winters, cold temperatures will damage crops, reduced animal spawning, reduce meat harvested from animals. So it just makes it a little bit more realistic. You can obviously disable that if you want, but I'm going to keep it enabled. So block gravity, sand and gravel. It's just allows sand and gravel to fall, and you can include soil where it falls sideways if it's not supported. Allow underground farming. Obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. Body temperature hardiness, right? Outside temperature the player can withstand without clothing when dry and standing still. I want to set this to -20 because I want to get some exploration done. So I want to be a little bit more hardy. The outside temperature the player can withstand without clothing, yeah. Believe me, the cold weather affects you pretty severely. Creature hostility is aggressive. So you can set this to passive or never. So you can make this as difficult as you want. We're going to keep it on aggressive. Wolves, other enemies will seek you out. Creature strength, you can set that. Player health points, we're gonna double our health to 30. I don't like dying. I don't like dying at all. Okay, hunger rate, we're gonna keep that as normal. Well, I usually lower this. We're gonna go. We'll keep that hunger rate as normal. We'll keep it as normal. Walk speed, we're gonna keep normal. I highly recommend you keep walk speed normal. Right? I highly recommend it for reasons we'll get into later. Food spoilage rate, I want to drop that down to 50%. Because we're going to be needing to survive. Food spoilage is rough. That is a rough. Tree sapling growth time, we're going to do faster on that. I don't think that affects fruit trees. That just affects trees themselves. Tool durability, we're going to keep at, we're going to do 200% tool durability. Tool mining speed, let's do 200% on that too. I just want to reduce the grind a little bit. So tools will last twice as long and they'll be twice as fast for mining. Because who wants to watch me sit and mine all day? Pro pick node search radius. We're going to make this 6 blocks. If you want a harder time finding ores, if you want more difficult time finding ores, set this to disabled. If you want to make it a little bit easier, set this to some radius. I recommend 6. 8 is a little too many. 6 is a good point in between. So start with 6, and we'll get into the difference between the two when we get into the game. Global deposit spawn rate. This affects ores. This also will affect ores generated by my mod. So upping this too much will just overwhelm you with ores. Maybe raise it to 140%. You don't need to raise this very high. There will be plenty of ore in the world. You still need to find it, but there'll be plenty. Okay, micro block chiseling. I want most cubic blocks. I want as many options for chiseling as possible. So, coordinate overlay and world map, those are good. You can disable those if you want, make it a little harder for yourself. Temporal storms. Okay, this is the main thing in the game that that is different from pretty much all the other games in this genre, are the temporal storms. And you can, if you want, disable them all you want, right? So you can easily disable them. Or you can have you can have a little bit of difficulty. So we want let's see, approximately 5 to 10 days, or 10 to 20 days. Well, yeah, 10 to 20 days I think is fine. Increase strength by frequency by +10, and capped at 100% or capped at 200%. I really want to do a mod that changes those around, or gives you more options in here. That would be very, very nice. I'll have to look at how to mod that later. Temporal storm length. Let's keep those at 100%. Temporal stability is enabled. You can completely disable this feature. Temporal rifts. I will keep them visible for now. We will eventually disable these later in the game for reasons I will get into at the time. But I want to show them off in the beginning here to show everybody what they do and what they don't do. Temporal gear respawn uses. Temporal gear allows you to set a spawn point. Here you can figure how often it can be used for respawning at the set point. So temporal gears can be used to set your spawn point, and you can set, if there's a limit on number of times that you can do that. I don't really think there should be a limit. Sleep during temporal storms? No, we don't want to sleep. Okay, climate distribution, right? Cold in the north, hot towards the south. Walking east and west has roughly the same climate. Obviously, we'd like that. I mean, it allows climate to be predictable. If you want deserty, hot weather, you travel south. If you want icy, cold weather, you travel north. So we're going to keep realistic climate distribution. Now, world width and world length, I want to set these lower. I don't want 1,000,000 blocks. 1,000,000 blocks, that is a massive world. So I think what we can do, we're gonna limit it to 25,000 blocks. World width and world length. So we're gonna limit it to 25,000 blocks. That is plenty. I mean, that's 25,000 blocks by 25,000 blocks. That's a lot of blocks. If you did that multiplication, that's millions upon millions upon millions of blocks. We are fine with that. World edge traversable. I will keep that traversable. I usually block, but traversal, we can use that for little exploration there. Polar equator distance. How far in blocks a player walks to reach the equator, starting from polar regions. So this gives you a distribution on your climate, right? So because we are basically 25,000 blocks, what we could set here is, say, 10,000 blocks. right? Um, it's kind of sucks that there's not a 12,500 blocks, but 10,000 blocks. So from the pole, right, your North Pole, you're traveling south. You travel south 10,000 blocks. That's your equator. Or you start south 10,000 blocks up. That's another that's another 10,000 blocks. So yeah, I think that's good. Here you can change the global overall temperature. Basically scorching hot, snowball Earth, or normal. Either extreme would be nearly impossible to survive. Same with precipitation. Super or hyper arid, it would be very hard to survive because food would not grow. Forestation and shrubs, that's fine. Surface copper deposit frequency, we're going to set these to common. Surface deposit tin frequency, we're going to set these to uncommon, right? Snow melt and accumulation, we definitely want that enabled. I love the land. I love the weather. I love how immersive the world is. I do not want to disable that. It's just great. It's so great. And we are going to disable class exclusive recipes. And the other ones are fine. But I don't know why that says multiplayer. But class exclusive recipes allows you to get into that. Okay, so that is the world. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. But yeah, that is the basics of world. And good times had by all. Let's apply that. And we are going to create world. So next time we come in, we will be starting a world. And yeah, I think it's going to be fun. So that is going to do it for this episode. And I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.